Apparently, it looks like a last-ditch effort. The special magistrate's making phone calls, governor's making calls. What are the chances you think the House delegation is going to have enough support to back this one season?
You know, I would be surprised, but you know, I'm officially out of that mix down there right now. Even though I do get some phone calls along the way.
Their intentions, it seems like, to a point that they will submit names. It almost seems inevitable at this point. You're going to have a receiver name taking up this department. What does that mean in your mind?
Well, it means you know, just some extra busy work without anything extremely great being added to the situation, in my opinion. You know, we do not have problems running this system. We have problem paying for the system. That's the problem. We have too few ratepayers, and our revenues are down right now, and we had too much debt to start with. So we're doing all we can do.
What happens if no 1 cent sales tax bill gets out?
It will be right where we are now, and that is we're fulfilling our contract as it stands, net operating revenue, and that's all we're required to do. And we can go like that for several years. And you know, in fact, probably that would be better than going bankrupt. Just strictly stay with net operating revenues. So, well, this thing is backwards. You know, I told you. You know, you go back to last year, 5 months hard work, starting from absolute dead stop, and we got the inertia and the momentum rolling. Had a term sheet, had everything in writing for a plan to work, and at the end of the plan is we would get a 1 cent sales tax passed by the legislature after all these other things were agreed to. They're coming now and asking the legislature to do this without a term plan, without anything else in place, and they've caught on, and they're saying, you know, that is, you know, we're being asked to do something that we don't know where this is going to lead. We don't know what the other end of this negotiation will wind up looking like, and they don't. There's nothing in writing. You know, we had things documented. I went back and read my, if you want to read what all we had on the table, go back and read my July 11th recap to have a roadmap as to where we were when this thing stopped, when the team that I was helping quarterback was stopped. And we had things in writing. We had volumes of information gathered. And since then, we've seen nothing. I mean, nothing. And this 1.3 billion that we keep hearing about, I haven't seen anything in writing and said that ties to an overall plan. I've heard that it ties to an overall plan to get, you know, some relief, some backup from the federal government. I've not heard that that was getting any traction. It may be and it may not be. I do know that if we get it, it requires taxable bonds instead of tax-free bonds, which means the rate we pay would be approximately double. Instead of 4%, we'd be paying 8% for taxable bonds. And we couldn't afford 8% at $2.8 billion.
The doomsday scenario being painted by Commissioner Collins, by Attorney Sewell and Attorney Darby, which was outlined publicly last week. Do you believe that they were fabricating that?
I think they probably believe that. I assume they wouldn't stand up and say it if they didn't believe it. But, you know, I got all of my bankruptcy theology from Patrick Darby, and I haven't changed. Okay?
What about the absence of the 1 cent sales tax? What they're saying is if you don't get that law amended, a lot of these other things could happen. Property values going down, education money. How do you feel about that?
I don't know where they're coming up with that. That is another leap in the dark.
Last week we saw Milan, Italy seize the assets of J.P. Morgan.
You noticed that too?
I did. In a virtually identical type situation, except for the posture that the government there is taking. What are the merits or sort of pros and cons of taking a more aggressive posture as opposed to taking sort of this passive posture?
See, I think we should have taken an aggressive posture. You know that part of the plan that the governor has is that we will not hold liable any of the Wall Street gang if we reach this deal, even if they are, it's proven that there were criminal acts involved here. You know that that's at the very base of this thing.
I haven't seen it in writing either, but
that's the deal, trust me.
Okay.
So when I tell people on the street that, their eyes glaze over. They're like, you mean we can't go after the people that caused this problem? And the answer is no, if this deal is reached.